Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I am showing you a deck which I didn't see coming. You see, every so often, ladies and gentlemen, I get emails from people wishing to be anonymous, telling me about very cool things. And I have it on very good authority that in a tournament played in the Worlds format, that is to say up to and including the cards that will be released in Celestial Storm, the winning deck that went 7-0, won undefeated, was Naganadel Stakataka. Now, you can believe that happened or not believe that happened, as you wish, although just so we're clear, right, it totally happened. I wouldn't lie to you. I like to think I'm quite an honest dude on this channel. That's hopefully why some of you keep coming back. So I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. This did happen. But even if you don't believe it, this is a very good deck. And it is one that you should absolutely be bearing in mind for Worlds, testing with, testing against. This could very well be the surprise deck of the entire tournament. So I suppose we should have a look at the main Pokemon here, Naganadel and Stakataka. So our main attacker here is Naganadel, and Naganedel's a Pokemon that's been out for a little while. And the main attack here for one colourless energy is Beast Raid. 20 damage for each of your Ultra Beasts in play. So ideally here, what you really want to do is get a whole bench full of Ultra Beasts and be hitting for 120 damage, 150 if you have a choice band. Now bearing in mind at the moment that one of the very best Pokemon in the format is Buzzwole. And then bear in mind that Necrozma GX is seeing a fair amount of play, you'll be one-hitting them. But then again, you've also got Zoroark here. You're not one-hit KOing Zoroark. You can only hit 150. And actually, Zoroark has resistance. You're only hitting 130. But then again, Zoroark's not one-hit KOing you. So that's not too bad. Now you do have a weakness to Garbodor, we will address that later on in the video, but for the time being, you're either one-hit KOing if they're weak, you're two-hit KOing if they're not, and that's okay, ladies and gentlemen. That's okay by us. Now we've also got a second attack here. Jet Needle, 110 damage, not affected by weakness or resistance. This deck doesn't play Psychic Energy, so that's a moot point. And then you get the GX attack. Free colourless energy, Stinger GX. You reset the game so each player's got 3 prize cards remaining. If you're rocking ahead to victory, don't use it. If your opponent's got 1 prize remaining and is about to win the game, oh my lordy, use this. Although, because we're going to be in the Worlds format, might I suggest dropping an N to put your opponent down to 1 card in hand, and then using this to reset them to 3 prize cards remaining. That is your main attacker, and you want to sit there using Beast Raid for 120 every turn, or maybe more with Choice Band. And then if you get too far behind, you use Stinger GX to reset yourself on prizes. So where does Stakataka GX come in? Well, Stakataka GX comes in because it's got a lovely ability which reduces any damage done to you by 10. Which really isn't all that much. But here's the thing. This is a full-on Naganadel Stakataka deck. So you put 4 of these on the bench. And then all of a sudden, damage done to you is reduced by 40. Which means that a Zoroark with a full bench and a choice band that should be hitting 150 is actually only hitting 110. So in order for Zoroark to 2-hit KO, they need a full bench and a choice band for every single hit. If they lose even 1 bench Pokemon or 1 turn of choice band, they can't 2-hit KO you. That, ladies and gentlemen, sounds alright by me, and you just need 1 choice band at 1 point, because you'll generally be hitting for 100 with a full bench of Ultra Beasts when you take into account that they are resistant to you. Now, I did mention a minute ago that we're not playing any Psychic Energy in this deck, we are only playing Metal Energy. That does mean you can attack with Stakataka. Unfortunately, it's not particularly good. Now, the GX attack is good. 2 metal, 1 colourless, 50 damage, plus 50 more for each prize card you've taken. So the general rule of GX attacks in this deck is, if you're ahead on prizes, use Stakataka to take your last couple. Because if you've taken 4 prizes, you're hitting 250, which will one-hit KO anything. Even the biggest boys in the format like Metagross cannot take that hit without getting KO'd. But if you're behind on prizes, in comes Naganadel to reset it so you're not behind on prizes. Otherwise, 2 metal, 1 colorless, 120 damage. I mean, look, if you're against a metal weak deck like Gardevoir, for instance, then yes, absolutely feel free to use this. Problem is, Gardevoir will then only need 3 energy on themselves, and they can attach a double colorless normally, and then a fairy using their ability in one turn and get a one-hit KO, or just a fairy normally, fairy the ability, choice band. Point is, Gardevoir's going to one-hit KO you back fairly easily. But then again, they're a stage 2 and you're a basic, and as we're going to mention in a minute, you've got Beast Ring, so you don't need to worry your pretty little head about it too much. This actually gives you a chance against Gardevoir, which is very, very nice. So Stakataka's good for hitting for weakness, and it's good if you need a GX attack and you're ahead on prizes and you're rocking through the game, but generally speaking, it's here for the ability. And what you essentially have then is Naganadel GX hitting 120 for a single energy, and taking 40 damage less from every attack. That sounds wonderful. Now, there is one other Pokemon we're going to use here, and it is Dusk main Necrozma, the non-GX. And for 1 metal energy, it does 60 damage to a Pokemon GX or EX. Now, annoyingly, this does not hit for weakness, otherwise it would be amazing. But as it stands, it's not actually too bad. Because you're just spreading 60 damage around. It's 1 energy. It's on a basic, so if you go second, you can use this on your very first turn. And you can soften some of those Pokemon up to bring them in range of Naganadel. So if you hit a Lycanroc, for instance, for 60, although you will have to hit it after it evolves because this won't work against a Rockruff, then they've got 140 HP, which means they're in range of getting KO'd by you now. This is a brilliant early game Pokemon, and having 130 HP, it means it can take a hit from something like a Zoroark, it can take a hit from a Buzzwole, so you should get a couple attacks off here. So you've got Dusk main Necrozma for the early game, Naganadel as your main attacker, and Stakataka because, oh yeah, Stakataka protects this as well. So now you've got a basic Pokemon for a single energy, hitting for 60 damage to an EX or a GX, and taking 40 less from each attack that comes your way. That's awesome! Now there are some trainer cards we need to look at here that really round this out as a deck to really take seriously. Now, being an Ultra Beast, of course you play a Beast Energy here, so you can do an extra 30 damage, and actually here, if you get a Beast Energy going, then you're hitting for 180 with a full bench and a choice band, full bench of Ultra Beasts, at which point you're actually able to get a one-hit KO on something like a Tapu Lele or a Rayquaza GX, so essentially here, you should be getting a one-hit KO on a GX for a single energy. That's redonk, ladies and gentlemen. So do save your Beast Energy for the right time. Now, you're also playing Beast Ring here. Beast Ring is awesome. Beast Ring is why Stakataka's GX attack and Naganadel's GX attack all of a sudden become much more viable. You play an energy for the turn and a Beast Ring when your opponent's got 3 or 4 prizes remaining. Then you can actually use these 3 energy attacks. And actually, except for the 1 energy attacks, they're all 3 energy attacks here. Very nice and easily. Now, Dusk main Necrozma's 3 energy attack isn't amazing. It's only really good if your opponent's got 1 prize remaining. But at that point, it does 200 damage. So actually, that's not too bad at all. And even outside of that, it does 100 damage, which gets a one-hit KO on a Glaceon or a one-hit KO on a Sylveon, or with a choice band gets a one-hit KO on a Gardevoir. Actually, thinking about it, this is pretty good if you're hitting for weakness. And all of this now is starting to add up into a deck of a whole bunch of options. Beast Ring makes these 3 energy attacks good when they wouldn't be. And look, if your opponent's got 1 prize card remaining, pop this one out, hit for 200, you've still got 130 HP, which is essentially 170 if you've got 4 Stakataka on the bench. Now, the other weird thing about this deck is it does not play Tapu Lele, and it does not play any Ball Search like Ultra Ball. And that's a very deliberate decision. The reason is Garbodor. You're terrified of Garbodor. If you play 5 item cards and they play a choice band, they're getting a one-hit KO. So you need to really watch the number of item cards you play. Obviously, something like Beast Ring is absolutely vital. But what you do here is you actually use Ultra Space. Because this entire deck is built around Ultra Beast. Basically, this deck is just your Naganadel, your Stakataka, and your Dusk main Necrozma. So what you do is you use Ultra Space to search all of these Pokemon out, so you don't need to use item cards. You don't need to pop a Tapu Lele on the bench, which is both a liability and takes 20 damage away from Naganadel. And the other card you really need here is Ace Roller. Because you are playing a ha 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 you can't KO me kind of game. So Ace Roller works perfectly. You whack up a Naganadel GX with 210 HP, but it takes 40 less from attacks, so actually, it's more like 250 HP. And actually, while we're here, when I did the Stakataka Gardevoir maths earlier in the video, I wasn't assuming there were any Stakataka abilities out. Obviously, if you've got 4 Stakataka out, then a Gardevoir with free energy and a choice band still won't get a KO, which means it cannot KO you in one turn with only one Gardevoir on the field. So my point here is that between Stakataka and Ace Roller, you've got a whole amount of survivability here. We tried Naganadel with Buzzwole, and the deck just didn't really work that well, because Buzzwole really needs stuff like Diancie and Strong Energy, which just do not fit with Naganadel, and essentially what we were all trying to do was mash 2 different decks together. This is a far more streamlined deck. All Ultra Beasts, relying on Ultra Space, single energy attacks, and then Beast Ring. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is a deck which you need to look out for at Worlds. I'm not saying it's going to win the World Championships. I'm saying I expect to see it played at the World Championships. I'm saying I expect to see success at the World Championships. It's certainly something I'd be testing if I could make it out there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is quite possibly the surprise deck you all need to be looking out for at the Pokemon World Championships. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you. I want to know what you think. Do you think this deck has seen success, or do you think the tournament where it went 7-0-1 was not representative of the World's format? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.